For today, I wanted to talk about content creating because I feel like every time I get on TikTok, it is a video about how to get more views, more likes, more blah, 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 more monetization. And I feel like, Facebook has become less about the connection of family and friends and more about clickbaiting to get views for monetization. And it's made what was once a very sociable, pleasant experience more of an ad-based marketing annoyance of less about genuine and authentic connection and engagement and socialization, and more about, again, impact and commercialization and clickbaiting and all of the things that, again, support capitalism. Ooh, said it. I said it. Hello, my healing fam. Welcome to Healing Not Heal, where we will talk about all things mental health and holistic wellness in a very transparent and culturally competent way. So I've had a few thoughts on that I just personally wanted to share, whether you want to hear it or not. But I think if you have an interest in content creating and are doing content creating, I think it is a conversation that probably you might want to tune into. So at the end of the day, we all have to make a living. We all have bills. We all got debt. Probably majority of us probably have debt in some way, whether it's credit card or it's your mortgage or something, your car note, something. So I completely understand everyone having a purpose of making sure that they are able to sustain themselves within this world. What I am starting to see, what makes it feel like to those that take the traditional route of their careers doing that 9-to-5 life versus those that have decided to engage in content creating is, where do you walk in that line of delusion of whether or not you're going to be successful or not? And I think the level of success all depends on how you view success based on your intentions. So people go into content creating for various aspects: creativity, whether it's fashion, whether it's art, whether it's talent, whether it's health, fitness, life coaching. People go into it for their own personal reasons, even if it's just a form of expression. And some people don't even expect any monetization or popularity, right? They're doing it just as a form of just, again, self-expression. And so I have a few clients, surprise, right? I have a few clients, a few friends, associates that have engaged in the content creating world and dabbled in the content creating world and have been apprehensive about it, have been nervous about it, have had insecurities around it. And a lot of it has been surfaced around the way people think or perceive them. And of course, I've always said, none of us want to be perceived. None of us want to be judged and criticized and having to go through possible conflict, online debates and arguments and things like that about their personal feelings or experiences. And all of that is completely understandable. And we work through those conversations. And what I have to say about that, generally, the advice that I give to not only myself, to those clients, to my peers, to my friends, is that always go back to the intent of why you are doing what you are doing. And I'm going to use health and fitness as an example because I just recently had this conversation with a girlfriend who is a very amazing personal trainer. I always remind clients, go back to your intent, right? Health and fitness. I choose to take an integrative approach with health, fitness, spirituality, because to me, holistic wellness and treatment is seeing the entire individual. And I think you have to see the entire individual inside and out in order to treat the individual, right? Everything that matters to them should matter to me when it comes to their healing, and that includes their spirituality and their trauma, their physical health, their mental health, their resources in the community. I want to know everything that my client needs so that I can provide them that resource. And so that is why I expand my knowledge and experience in these different avenues, because I want to be the best clinician and helper and healer to my community that I can be, right? And that's my intent. And at the bottom of people's intent and purpose, there is some sort of ego, right? Because although we want to fulfill this purpose for other people, there is some self-gratifying feeling about doing for others that give us a sense of purpose and fulfillment to stay on this earth, right? Like being a parent, being a protector, being a provider. Those are all purposeful things that help us, you know, have connection to a higher power, into this earth, into our beings and why we're here, right? And so that is what health and fitness is for me, right? So when I'm talking to clients about whatever talent, goal, mission they're on, what is your intent, right? A lot of people will go back to, well, I want people to feel connected to my art. I want people to feel encouraged. I want people to feel inspired. I want to connect to a community. I want to be able to support my family, right? Whatever your intent and purpose and goal is, right? A lot of people get discouraged. I see a lot of this online of people ain't supporting, people not sharing, people not liking. You watch my stories and don't support, da 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 da. And there's a lot of personal feeling and hostility about the people in your community not supporting, not sharing, and not, you know, really engaging with your content, for instance. And so I think a lot of us that do put a lot of work and effort, because I can understand where that frustration comes from. I've experienced it myself. When you do put a lot of work and effort into what you're creating, you feel like you're not validated. And that goes back to the ego or the ego behind that personal fulfillment and wanting to feel validated in what we're doing. And so again, in that conversation, putting that ego aside of wanting to feel validated in that experience and being able to really reframe that negative thinking and then really look at what you've created and what you've put out and those that you've touched and those that have acknowledged what you're doing and your success, we tend to micro focus on those that don't acknowledge and don't support and don't encourage, right? Because yeah, you may have like 1,500 followers, but only 2 people liked your content. So you're looking at the 1498, whatever. Do the math on that, whatever. You're looking at the other people that didn't comment or like or whatever, instead of maybe the 2 that reached out to you and was like, hey, that story really reached out to me and connected to me, and that really helped me. I appreciate you sharing your story. I have countless stories like that where people have reached out to me privately, and they've never liked a post, they've never shared it, they probably never even went to my YouTube channel, but they saw a clip and it was maybe 10 seconds, or they saw a caption, or they saw a post, or they saw something funny I said, or they saw a workout video, and in some way they felt inspired and reached out to me, right? I delusionally glorify those moments to myself and celebrate those moments, because I know that I don't care the number, going back to the intent and purpose of what I'm trying to do, right? And so even in those small moments where somebody reaches out and says that connected with me, I feel on cloud 9 regardless of the numbers, right? And I see a lot of people struggle in that area where they feel defeated and they stop and they feel like, what's the point? And it's not going anywhere and I'm wasting my time. And it gets exhausting, right? Because I don't think people that don't content create realize how much work that goes into it. So I understand the frustration, like I said, but go back to your intent and purpose, right? And I think those that do all the clickbaiting and go online to cause conflict and confrontation and be just kind of contrarians and say adversarial things to get engagement, you have to really think about the type of spirit, the type of energy that they're bringing in versus the integrity and the challenge and the mastery of whatever you're trying to bring to surface into this world, and that it's actually going to take work and effort, right? And so removing the comparison, removing the self-doubt, and leaning into whatever it is that you're putting out there, that it's worthy to find your community. And here's what I mean by that too. Think about restaurant reviews, right? You really got to take restaurant reviews seriously But read the comments and look at the pictures and do some actual research, because you have to realize your palate is not like everyone else's. You might be a sweet and savory while somebody's a hot and spicy. And so that hot and spicy might walk in that sweet and savory and say this shit was trash, when a sweet and savory might walk in and say this was amazing, and they both leave reviews. And so you might be hot and spicy, and I know I'm not for everybody, right? And so I know for me, whoever needs to find me will find me, and who don't like me, who's sweet and sour, you can go to the left, because I know I'm not your taste, and I'm okay with that, because I'm not for everybody. Not everybody's for me, and you have to recognize that in your reality as well. I tell people all the time, there are actually people out there in the world who don't like Beyonce. I'm not one of them, so y'all can chill, calm down. But I'm saying not everybody has a general consensus about everybody, and so you have to be able to recognize that criticism comes with the territory of wanting to be a leader, or wanting to be a creator, or wanting to be artistic, or wanting to be creative, or wanting to be imaginative, or wanting to be different, or wanting to be just outside the box and not like everybody else, and not want to do the 9-to-5 life, right? And so you have to take the criticism that comes with that as being vulnerable and putting your face and your brand, which is yourself and what you're selling, out there. And that comes with empty days, where some days you might not get any views, some days you might get a bunch, and a lot of the support that you're going to get is not going to be from the people that you know and love, unfortunately. But that's the reality of the situation. And again, not taking it personally, because again, what kind of energy are you attracting when, going back to my videos about the scarcity mindset and survivors' guilt of the Black community, of seeing other people want to do something different or be successful in their life, there's going to be these dynamics of judgment and criticism, and who do they think they're doing? Who oh, you a content creator now, and oh, I see you posting, because that's so that do be getting under my skin. They be like, oh, I see you posting. I'll be like, oh, so you see it, so you admitting that you see it. Okay, cool, I'm glad you seen it, right? Because hey, a view is a view. So again, not taking things personal. People are going to acknowledge you in the ways that they can, that they have capacity for. Is not personal, but acknowledge the moments that you do have people that show up and feel encouraged and inspired, because 9 times out of 10, if I had to guess, especially if you follow me, you want to inspire and you want to help people and you love on people and you care about people. And if that's the intent and purpose, always keep that to the core of your heart and remembering why you're doing what you're doing. And in that mindset, in that abundance, in that clarity, in that integrity of what you're doing, everything else will fall into place. I genuinely and wholeheartedly believe that. Now, let me be clear. I think we all experience a healthy amount of doubt and anxiety and imposter syndrome and questioning that comes and goes as waves, right? But what I'm saying is, do not question the integrity of the intention of what you're doing. That is always the bottom line reminder when you start to question yourself, when you start to doubt yourself, when you start to have that anxiety, is coming back to, why am I doing what I'm doing? Always come back to, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the purpose behind what I'm doing? Who am I trying to serve? And if it's self-serving, if it has no real purpose, if it has no real foundation, and no offense to those that are just like sharing their personal life, but like, and expecting like monetization, no offense to that, but like, what are you giving back to the community in such a way? I think that is where life and content creating and just general the online business and community is going, is what are you serving the community? What are you giving back to the community? What can people receive from you and get from you? Even on a Tupperware video where people are sitting there organizing their fridge and their cabinets, I'm learning organizational skills. There doesn't even have to be content, right? ASMR, I'm getting some type of stimulation, right? But you know, putting your cereal in a bowl, I guess it's giving me breakfast ideas. I don't know. But like, there are certain things that people are just doing it because they feel like their value is just like here, take it, and this is what I'm selling, there's some people that will definitely buy into that. But I think the common folk like us, on the boots in the ground, not really behind the privilege, and I think that's another reality of the differences between the content creation world, is those that already have privilege behind them in it. The grassroots people, the people that you're trying to connect with, even if it's the community around you, want to know, what are you doing for the community or giving to the community that makes them want to engage with you? What are you saying that gives back and inspires and like just makes people think or laugh or educate, right? I think people are using online a lot more to discover more instead of finding things within the community as we should, because of, you know, access and convenience. But what are you giving to your community? And even if it's the journey, taking people along with the journey, right? And being consistent. There's integrity and discipline in keeping people in the journey along with you, even if it's a relatability and connectability, right? Because there is life learning lessons in other people's journey, right? If I see you fall, I know to walk over that pothole. So people can learn from your life experiences if you do just life vlogs, but there has to be consistency and discipline in the integrity of you vlogging every day. If you vlogging every week, so that people know, oh, this is the person that I'm getting to know. Oh, I can understand their struggles. Oh, I can understand their journey. But if you're sketchy, people are not going to connect with you consistently, right? And so there's a lot of vulnerability behind, I think, the whole content creating world. And I know for me, I gagged at it and I was like, I'm not a content creator. I'm a therapist that is just trying to give out resources and coping skills and help people online. That's it. And so it's an access, it's a resource. And it's not to give any clinical information to like give people like, go to a therapist. My advice is always going to go make sure you go seek a professional opinion. And so my platform is this conversational resource to have community and conversation, right? And so I always push that whole content creating narrative and name off and was like, no, I'm not doing that. But the hours that I spend editing videos and doing shit, yes, I'll go ahead and be like, yeah, there's a difference on like stealing people's posts and reposting that shit. And I do that too, because there's a couple there, because it's a couple posts that I'd be like, I know the girl's gonna relate to this, right? So there is a couple posts that I have, you know, I'll do on my page for people to relate to. But when it comes to the sound healing and the healing not heal and all the other, you know, fitness videos and yoga and stuff like that, it takes time. And so I had to go ahead and really acknowledge, like, girl, yeah, you might not be getting paid for it, and your goal might not be to monetize and to make money off of it and profit off of it, but you are creating. You are trying to inspire and help and motivate, and you have had people reach out to you inspired by your work and your conversation piece and your meditation and healing. And so just accept it. And so here we are. And so to my fellow other creators and business entrepreneurs and people that post online business aspirations and things like that, stay encouraged. Remember your intent. Remember your purpose. Remember the intrinsic value behind what you're trying to do. And just know that your sauce is for somebody. Your sauce ain't for everybody, but your sauce is for somebody. Okay, so stay inspired. To all my entrepreneurs, it's going to be a very interesting next couple years, but hold tight, embrace. We gonna make it. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, all the things at Healing Crown Counseling and Healing Crown Wellness. And make sure to tune in every Sunday, 8 p.m. live on YouTube for my sound healing meditations every Sunday. And thank you again, Healing Fam.